Let's move on to Gus, our structure and body therapist.
All
And you can
right.
read off your computer or mine, either way, whatever works best for you.
Okay. So my name is Gus. Now, how much time do we have for this? 5 minutes?
I was thinking around 5 minutes. I don't know how long we spent with Annie. Probably 10.
Okay. Okay. All right. So my name is Gus Vargas. I am from Structura Body Therapy. I am the owner manager, but more importantly, I am a client. I got involved with this company basically to scratch my own itch. This is something that I needed. I am someone that likes to be active uh, as I go through life because, like you alluding to, David, motion is life. If I can't move because of issues, injuries, then I'm not the same person. Just like I am what I eat, I notice that I'm different depending on what I'm eating. The same it comes to motion. If I'm not moving and if I'm not outdoors, I'm not the same person. So I noticed I was having issues with my shoulder and it was impacting my activity level. So I needed a natural solution for that because I prefer not to do surgery, pharmaceuticals, injections. I wanted something. I respect the body's ability to heal itself. Right. So I wanted not only to not get in my body's way of healing, but also to amplify it. And I was fortunate enough to find a company that does that, Structura Body Therapies in Ogden, Utah. And once I found them, I was very excited and I decided to get involved and bring them down here so that us Las Vegans have this capability here. And the strength of what we as an organization are able to do is we answer a lot of the frustrations that people are having in terms of staying active without one being in pain or two having functional issues. And because once you deal with those and you address those issues, then you find yourself your performance has increased. So athletes are among our clients who are looking, Boston marathon runners, ultra athletes, 100, 150 miles of running, uh, you know, triathletes, and they're looking to again, they at this level, they're looking to enjoy life, and those activities give them joy, and so they want to continue to do that and sustain that. So they're looking for natural solutions for that. So what services do we provide? Well, oh, when we look at number one, acute and chronic pain. Right. So acute pain is very current pain, very sharp pain. Something, sprain your ankle. Um, you were doing soccer, and all of a sudden your hamstring locked up. Those we are able to help you out of. I've gone through multiple experiences where I literally thought my muscles were ready to explode during an event, and with a 60-minute session, not only was that reversed, but I was in better situation and able to complete my event. It's just incredible how if the understanding of how the body operates has been updated because we use a new anatomical understanding of how they operates. We work on fascia. When that understanding is used to work on the body, how much more body manual therapy, how much more it's effective. So it's helped me out in multiple situations, myself and a lot of our clients as well. We have people coming to us to say, "Hey, I got an event coming up and I'm limping. Can I get help?" Right. So we're able to help with those. But our bread and butter and where we have the most impact is when it comes to chronic pain. That's pain that you've been dealing with for months, years, or in some cases, decades. And a lot of our clients have come to us frustrated with conventional medicine. They find that conventional thought is very reactive and is not getting to the root cause, Well, we find when we're working on fascia, this tissue that surrounds our entire body, that we're able to address a lot of their frustrations.
Mm.
Things that they've been dealing with decades. We're easily able to get through that just because of our understanding. So we see a lot of clients in that space. Uh, With that being said, that is at the reactive level. Once we address, when we see clients and they're in pain, when you're in pain, you're 70% into the issue. And we work very hard to reverse that, get you to 50, 40% where you're out of pain. But once you're there, you know, once you're out of that pain, we also like to go further to increase potential, increase functionality, to make you a better person. There are things as a person when you look at the body that you should be able to do, and a lot of people would benefit of being in that space because one, you're more active, you're prone to less injury, and the feeling is great. When the work was done for me, I felt like I was in a new body. I didn't
Mm.
know how much I had been shrinking into my own body during the years, that when I was released from that, how light I felt.
Mm.
So number two, need to recover from injury. You know, life is life can be challenging. Things happen, right? It could be quite dynamic. We have clients that are in accidents, sports accidents, and they're they're dealing with trauma that they need to get help out of. For example, I was playing ultimate frisbee, and we're incredibly motivated to catch that frisbee. When when you've been playing it for years, there's not much that can get in between you and that frisbee. And what happened was me and myself and another person were trying to get to the frisbee, and when we clashed, and the result was I basically ripped up my tendon
Oh gosh.
right off of the bone.
Oh.
So I needed surgery, and I found a really good orthopedic surgeon who was able to reattach. But then I needed to return to functionality, and that is a case of post-surgery injury, and I had a boulder size of a knot there of scar tissue. We were able to work through that, and then we started working on returning the functionality, so extending the tendon because it was stuck. It was reduced functionality. I couldn't move it very much. But after we were done, not only I was able to return back to functionality, but I didn't have to go to physical therapy, which saved me time and money, and I was very happy about that. Uh, Number one and number two health issues were in the reactive space. Number three, however, we're looking at proactive space. Uh, we can look at a client's posture and see issues before they turn into painful problems. Uh, you know, issues. When I'm driving down the highway, I'm pretty good at staying away from accidents. I ride a motorcycle, and I've been very fortunate to stay from accidents. And part of the reason being is because I can see certain drivers and the way they're driving, and I know to avoid them. Someone is texting, someone's not paying attention, and I know, okay, I need to keep distance between myself and that driver. And that's called defensive driving. Well, the same applies to the body. When you see an imbalance in the body, you can see that an imbalance is there, and eventually, if that's not taken care of, it's going to lead to pain, and then after pain, possible injury, torn ligaments, loss of cartilage, and we work on reversing that so that we can extend functionality, extend longevity, and just improve the quality of life of our client. So number three is where we're being proactive. And one of the benefits of improving posture is number four, athletic performance is increased. We walk into gyms and we see uh, clients with a lot of imbalances. If you see someone lifting weights, but it's not straight, right? Imbalance. You see them running and you see a certain tilt on one side. in balance. And that's, and you see that in other sports, tennis, you know, swinging from one side, powerful, swinging from the other side, lack of power. There's an imbalance there. When you work on posture, you can help restore that balance and thereby improving performance, right? If you address adhesions that are reducing the route of the tension that's going through the body, it puts the athlete in a much more fluid state, so they're more able to hit the golf ball, with full range, with more power. If you're a weightlifter, instead of lifting the weight half of the way because you have half of the range, well, by going all the way, right? Not only are you getting more distance, that means you're doing more work. That means you're putting more resistance on your muscles, meaning then you are creating more muscle, more resistance for yourself. So there's a big advantage in having your posture aligned, because that impacts performance. And everyone knows the easiest analogy I can think of is just like a car, right? When your car is tilting, when the wheels are vibrating, right, that impacts gas mileage, performance, noise. You go in, you get it aligned, and the car is that much smoother. Same with the body. Okay, number 5, stress, physical and emotional. Just like the mind, the spirit impacts the body, the reverse is also true.
Mm.
Sometimes we hold our emotions in our body. A good example of that is an experience I had at a sensory deprivation tank. I was there for an hour.
Mm.
And before we went in, we were given instructions and told that at some point, some of you will start getting aches in your body. Some will be in your stomach, some will be in your neck. You can expect that. And the reason being, sometimes we hold tension in those areas. And now that we're supported and basically weightless in this tank, we no longer have that need to hold it. And then our body reacts and we feel that tension and as an ache, right? Sometimes we hold our tension in our body. And when we release that tension, it leads to an emotional response. And, some of our clients laugh, some of our clients cry. The body and the mind are connected. Right? So by working through with the body and through the body, we can help with emotional release. And we had a good example of that. We had a client that was in 2 accidents. One where she was in a go-kart. She has long hair, and her hair got caught on the wheel,
Ooh.
and her head was violently jerked back to the point where her husband saw her. He thought she was dead. That's how violent it
Mm.
was, right? And then 3 years later, she was involved in an ATV accident where it basically fell over and fell on top of her. So the emotional response, the space she was at, was she was incredibly protective of her neck. We had She had children, and she wouldn't let them closer than 3 feet from her. She was
Wow.
very protective, and that had an emotional impact on the children because they wanted to be close to their mother. Uh, so by working on the neck and even noticing that at some point that there was no issue, there was no reason to have this tension, and allowing the client, giving them permission, you have you released, are you ready, and just having that cue was able to return her to a space where, okay, I'm okay now, my neck is okay, I can go back to living the life that I was used to before the accidents. So we believe in that connection. The therapists are trained on that, and it's nice to see that emotional piece. So that's basically how we help our clients live active lives, fullest. You know, focus on the physical, right, which only is a thin slice of health, right? But nonetheless, it is still an important part of it. And what's nice about being in a group like this is we can address all of the different slices, all of the different components of health, so that, little by little, we can address the person as a whole and get some good impact. So did anyone have any questions?
Wow. One thing that really resonated with me is that you made things flow in both directions. We spoke about um, how your spiritual health affects your physical health, and you turned it around and told us how the physical health affects your spiritual health and wellness.
Yes.
And
Now it is very hard, and this is something that Tony Robbins talks about a lot. It is very hard to be depressed when you're standing up straight with your head up high,
mm,
right? If you're depressed, your body follows suit, right? Dropping
mhm.
down, looking down, right? So he switches in terms of getting you back to a happy place or a better space. He reverses it. All right, let's do the body first,
Mhm.
right? And let the mind follow, right? So there's a very strong bond between the two. And it's good to work with both.
Very good. Yeah, I'm looking for connections as we speak, and it really does seem that each of us have a window to total health and wellness in all five of the areas: physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. That each of us have a window, and some people may resonate more, or
Yes.
the time in their life may indicate that one of us, the window that one of us provides, is the one that's going to connect better.
I do believe
Maybe,
that. It's like a
yeah,
chain
yeah.
reaction.
Maybe it's an athlete, and they need to see you, Gus, or maybe it's someone that is really self-conscious about their weight, and they need to see Michelle, or somebody that has uh, a sense of being outside of their calling, or just a sense of discontent spiritually, and they need to see Annie. But it's like each of us is a window, and when we're working together, we can find ways, I think, that to the extent we can find ways to ask ourselves, am I in the presence of someone for whom I am the best window, or one of our other team members is a better window at this time in their life? I don't know. Okay. Any other thoughts for Gus?
Well, I do about what sort of like follow-up do you do, like say with someone with either the postural problem or recovering from injury? The follow-up, is it a certain protocol that you follow, or it just depending on their first visit?
So follow up from when, so after they've gone through the therapy or
Yeah, like
after they've
your
come with the
therapy,
assessment?
yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, that is a good question. You know, I'm working. So first, we're looking for long-term solutions, right? We want to provide long-term solutions to our client, and part of that is empowering the client with understanding and knowledge of how to help themselves, right? So when we work with a client, we have three strategies. One is the fascia body work. That's them here on the table getting work done by the therapist, where they're impacting the fascia to get change. Second is corrective repatterning exercises, right? In clinic, we will show you how to do these very easy but very specific exercises here in the clinic, where you then go home and you do it at least once a day at home. Third, we also show you how you can use mobility tools to impact change, to get the trigger points, to increase space within the joints, right? There's skin that surrounds each joint called a joint capsule, and it can restrict movement up to 50%. We show the client how they can open that up and get more space, more mobility in their joints. What's nice about two of our therapies is the client could do it on them by themselves at home. You know, David gave us an excellent example last week of how he was able to use the static back to restore functionality on his back, to get out of pain and get back to trail running,
Mhm.
right? And with our clients, we provide them with an application on their phone that they can recall their exercise that we've been giving them, so they can redo if they have a certain issue that they've experienced before. Hey, go through the exercise we gave you, go back to doing them once a day, and you should feel an impact from that.
Mhm.
So that is one of our strategies. You know, there's a lot of education that goes into what we do, and we like to empower our clients. So clients can do repatterning and mobility on their own. Second, I when I first came into this business, my goal was to get people, assess them, find out how we can have the biggest impact, send them out to the world, fully functional, out of pain, have a happy life. I've since changed my understanding on that, my strategy on that, because the truth is life still happens, and life still stresses us out. If be it from uh, a home situation, be it from the events that we're doing, be it that our occupation. Our biggest thing is occupation. We had a F-35C fighter pilot come in and work with us for neck pain. The man is wearing a 5.4-pound helmet on his head, and he's doing 7 Gs,
Mm.
7 times the weight of gravity. If his head is 10 pounds, geez, it's right. And he's doing this constantly, right? All the work that we do here in the clinic, you know, will not combat that or undo that which is left, right? So we have a maintenance program where a client could come back to us once a month and stay on that maintenance program, and we can do some of the things that the client experienced through their normal occupation, through their normal event. We had today, one of our clients came in. She is a beast, and when I say that in a impressed way, in that she is up and down Mount Charleston. She will travel all over the world to do events, trail run, CrossFit, and she will come to us not for athletic improvement, not to improve her posture, but just to maintain her lifestyle.
Mhm.
You know? She came to us, I did a 14-mile hike in one day. I'm in pain. Help me out. I got to
Mhm.
tomorrow. Right. So we have a client pathway, and it's a step. Very simple. Get the client out of right. Once they're out of pain, okay, get to the root cause. Let's improve the posture. Let's get them closer to the postural objective, right? That is the joints stacked upon each other in a straight line, right? Ear, shoulder, hip, knees, ankles. Get them as close as you can to a straight line. Then third is once we have them in that good place, maintain them, right? So it's a 1, 2, 3 punch. That is our current strategy to help our clients remain pain-free, functional, and have an active life.
This brings to mind something else too, Gus, that we can learn from one another and from our approaches. So I like your systematic approach. And some of us, like if you're talking Holly and Annie, you'd wonder, how can they have a systematic approach? But perhaps to see what the more intangible we are in how we're working with people, and the harder it is to describe, that that calls for trying to make it more tangible, so the people that don't even have us on their radar can understand, because the average person works in the world of tangibility. And the further we are from that, the harder it is for the average person to relate to us or even understand what we do. And I think some of these systematic approaches can really help us in our work with people. Of course, you can't objectify it to the point of becoming a commodity and some kind of an assembly line health system. But I think we can learn from those who have a very tangible practice, those of us who have a less tangible practice. I mean, the things I spoke about last week, spirituality. And when I think of Holly and Annie, and to some extent Denise too, that we can really benefit, and we can become more accessible to the public by to the extent that we can incorporate some of these systematic approaches. So just a
And
thought.
I completely agree with you. And, the simplicity that I just mentioned came after years of seeing the advantages, seeing how best to help the public with these therapies, and trying to
Yes.
explain to them, right? This didn't come to me easily. But that being said, I think I have from everyone on this call, I think I have the easiest job, right? Because I'm dealing with, hinges and strings, right? We're dealing with joints and tendons, right? And muscles, right? Pretty straightforward, pretty physical, you know, that's pretty straightforward. When you're dealing with nutrition, with spirituality, with, where a person is emotionally, that's deep diving, right? That's a conversation. That's that takes a lot more and is more nebulous, right? I think the payoff is bigger, right? Because it's very impactful, right? But it's challenging to explain that to the public, the benefits of it. You go to one memory and you change, you reframe it, and all of a sudden things open up for you, right? That's a big deal. That's a big payoff, right? But you gotta work on it, and it's not straightforward as
Well,
working with somebody.
one of the examples you gave a moment ago, Gus, was Tony Robbins,
Yes.
who, motivation is something that is an intangible. How do you motivate someone? And he makes it very simple: stand up straight. And I think to the extent that we find those connections, that we become more accessible to the people that we're serving and the people that don't know about us.